Of course, Alex ends up getting Jim to quit, but then finds out that he actually won $10,000. But Jim has already spent all the money, short of paying Louis back, which he did. On what? He bought the racehorse that had won him his money. Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of Taxi. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, I'm just going to go over the agenda real quick. I start off with the potent notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that I found out about the episode or series. Then I go into the episode overview, which is just me talking about what happened in the episode from beginning to end. And then I do the rank, the namesake of the show, where I rank the episode in 5 categories on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, all to figure out what is the best sitcom of all time. So we take a sitcom, we rank every single episode of that sitcom, and then the average rankings is what the series ranking is. And today we're going to be ranking the 14th episode of the second season, Jim Gets a Pet, written by David Lloyd and directed by Jimmy Burrows, because of course it is. Now, for those of you out there who have been enjoying these episodes, or you just like Taxi and enjoy consuming content about it, please consider subscribing and or following. Like the episode, comment. You can shoot me an email at info@therankpodcast.com with your questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, whatever. I will respond to you. For those of you who really want to support us, please consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/therankpodcast. Okay, so that's enough of the sales pitch. Let's dive in here. I just want to start off by saying there will be spoilers because this show is over 45 years old, so I guess watch it if you are worried about that. But anyway, let's dive into the potent notables.
Potent notables.
So this 36th episode of Taxi was released on Tuesday, December 18th, 1979. So I finally found the ratings again. And on top of this week, I found the last 2 weeks as well. Maybe you all out there don't care about this, but I like it. I find it interesting, so it's in here. Now, what I found for 2 weeks ago is just its ranking in the top 20, which was 6th. Just behind the Jeffersons, but still the second best rated of ABC's Tuesday night lineup, with Three's Company ahead of it in 3rd place. Alice was the number 1 show for that week. Last week, Taxi dropped to 13th with a 23 rating and was the lowest of the ABC Tuesday night lineup that week. The number 1 show was 60 Minutes with a 31.5. And finally, this week, Taxi ended up in 4th with a 26.1, just beating MASH. I think that's the highest I've seen it on the chart, actually. Three's Company, its lead-in, was the number 1 show of the week with a 30.1, and the two between Three's Company and Taxi were both Dallas, the Thursday night version of Dallas, and then the Friday night version of Dallas. So we're probably headed to the Dallas juggernaut era. Now, this episode was written by David Lloyd. My natural inclination was to see if he was related to Christopher. So I looked him up, and sure enough, Christopher is his son. As it turns out, it's a completely different Christopher Lloyd, who would go on to being a writer in Hollywood as well, and would create a little show called Modern Family. Christopher also wrote with his dad on both Wings and Frasier, so I just thought that was kind of fun. But those are the potent notables. Let's dive into the episode overview. Okay, so this one was a weird one. Let's dive in, and the first thing is that all the guys have gone to the track, which apparently Elaine really hates. At first I was wondering if they don't want to tell her because she was an animal rights person or something, but fairly quickly it becomes clear that it's just that she doesn't like the gambling aspect of it. I'm glad that they tell us that her husband was a gambling addict so that we can understand her aversion, but also she's not married to any of these people, nor is she in a relationship with any of them, so weird. I mean, I get being concerned, but like, why does she feel so strongly that Jim shouldn't be gambling? First, we had a kind of crush on Elaine from Jim, and now Elaine's being protective. If this had been made in modern times, where shows put a lot of forethought into what the ultimate character arcs will be, I think they were leading us to a Jim and Elaine relationship. But since it's before that, and I don't think they've even realized they've done this, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that nothing will come of this. Now, we're meant to get the impression that maybe Elaine is right because Jim says he doesn't have a rush for life without the gambling now. He ends up gambling his last dollar on a really bad bet that the guy ordering from the coffee machine is going to get a vodka gimlet. Now, Louis overhears that poor Jim is broke now, and he's going to go in for the kill. And honestly, I get that it seems very Louis to do this, but I just don't think he would have. Louis loaning money on a bad bet with the hope that he could illegally sell Jim's body for medical experiments seems pretty damn flimsy. flimsy to me. Well, now Alex is going to spring into action with a spur from Elaine, and he's going to act out the different characters that Jim brings up to prove his point. And the point being, he shouldn't gamble. I feel bad. I don't know if it's me or my age or what, but this just isn't funny.
He's very old. He's lost his mind.
I usually like stupid humor, and it's not that I hated this or anything, but it just felt like it went on for way too long, which Taxi is wont to do with a joke. And it wasn't funny enough to have lasted any longer than the first part of the bit. Of course, Alex ends up getting Jim to quit, but then finds out that he actually won $10,000. But Jim has already spent all the money, short of paying Louis back, which he did. On what? He bought the racehorse that had won him his money. Okay, so now we're finally getting to the hook of the episode. He's going to buy an old racehorse as a pet. Oh, that's hilarious. Now, I'm being sarcastic, but actually the premise is kind of funny. But instead of having a bunch of fun jokes about him owning a horse, they kill it. And I don't mean they kill the jokes, I mean they kill the horse. And do these guys know comedy?
I thought it was funny.
Now, how should we round this out? Hey, let's have Jim give a somewhat touching eulogy. I say somewhat because it was clearly meant to have the appearance of being kind of profound and heart-wrenching, but I just kind of thought it sounded generic. Like, it wasn't bad, but I didn't think it was super thought-provoking either. Anyway, Elaine is moved to tears, and Louis loves it so much that he asks Jim to give the eulogy for his mother when she passes. Essentially, word for word. So that last part did get me, so it ended on a laugh. I suppose that's something. Well, let's find out how it did. Let's go to the rank.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. But before we dive into the rankings, I just want to say if you're enjoying the episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help me out. But without further ado, the first category is story, and I gave story a 2. I know I was talking about David Lloyd and the Potent Notables, but this wasn't a good episode. The story is about Jim buying a racehorse and then it dies. One of the mistakes the show often makes is to make it too somber, which they did in this one. But how could you take such an absurd premise and make it too somber? Just yikes. Come on, guys. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 3.5. I can't say the acting was bad, but it's just a dumb premise. Judd was really over the top in it. I feel like he was like, what am I doing with my life right now? Everybody else was fine, I suppose. Christopher Lloyd was the best actor in the episode, but that's just because he just needs to act like a space cadet the whole time. So let's go to dialogue, which I gave a 1.75. This could have been a really funny episode, or at least pretty funny. Just lean into the silliness. But no, instead we get something that tries to make us sad. They even have Elaine crying and Louis getting serious. Just what? Jim buys a fucking racehorse. This should have been dumb and fun, not serious and lame. All right, let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 2.5. I mean, the premise is incoherent with reality, but whatever. I don't buy that Louis would have given a shit about the eulogy, but fine also. Louis is going to loan someone money that he doesn't expect to get back? I mean, it worked out in his favor, but I just can't imagine him doing this. I don't know, it just wasn't good. Pretty much all the way around. So let's go to character relatability, which I gave a 3.5. I mean, other than being in an absurd premise, everyone was decently relatable. Elaine was a little over the top, but we at least had a reason for it. I don't even know what to say about this. I guess if one encountered this absurd situation, one may act similarly. All right, but that's it. Those are the rankings. Obviously, it's not coming out too good, but if it had a good laugh counter, then, you know, it might save it a little bit. And I think we already know it's not going to have a good laugh counter. It got me 7 times. So there you have it, a grand total of 20.25, which makes it a rank it and regret it. As for the series average, it's at a 25.4, which keeps it as mediocre, and certainly doesn't help with its recent attempt to climb out of the bottom 3 tiers. It had been going strong, and I don't know what's going on. This past couple episodes haven't really been doing it. So hopefully next episode's better. All right, thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. And remember, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help us out. But I will leave you with this. Why didn't Jim get a dog with his winnings?
Why is that?
Because he wanted a pet he could really horse around with.
Move this man! No!
It was clearly meant to have the appearance of being kind of profound and heart-wrenching, but I just kind of thought of it.
Froze up again.